I'm trying to get all this information in my head. It just exploded. Galaxy brain. Hey guys, this is Dan from Red Dragon, and we're going to do a little bit of a WCW, or the World Championships of Warhammer 40K recap. So I took a lot of videos and photos while I was there with a promise that I would get content out to you guys so you can see what Worlds was like for those of you who did not get a chance to go there. In this video, there's going to be three things that I want to cover. First and foremost, I'm going to go over the overall experience that I had at the event. Pros, cons, a little bit of everything. Second, I'm going to go over my army list, pros and cons, where I felt that I made mistakes on stuff. There's a little bit of gambling on guessing where the meta is going to be. And then the last thing, I'm going to go over all of my games individually fairly quickly, but I just want to go touch base on those a little bit myself. But I think there's going to be a lot of people interested in all of those parts. There's going to be some people that are interested in only parts of them. So we're going to start off with the main one. So those of you who don't know, you basically have to win an event to get your golden ticket. Golden ticket is given out depending on the tournament organizers. It could be best overall. It could be a best combined with painting. It could be best painted. We run a GT series here, so we run through it the entire year. So your score overall, if you have the overall highest rank, you get a golden ticket. Highest overall best painted gets a ticket. Then we have an invitational. At the invitational, we invite all the top players from all of the events we've run to come and play. So some of them may already have a golden ticket, but you're encouraged to come down because it's going to be practice for Worlds, where every map and mission combination is random. So we'll see all the weird stuff that maybe we don't usually play, Dawn of War, Sweeping Engagement, and get a chance to experience this. Now at that event, the top player gets a golden ticket and the best painted there gets a golden ticket. So Zach Rockner liked the idea. We gave him the pitch last year. We ran it. It seemed to go well. We're going to try it again this year. Again, new golden tickets aren't up yet, so we'll see where we're at. But it was an entertaining format. It gives you a chance that we can bring painters. And the reason for this is that your overall country score is based on 40K, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Underworlds. All of that stuff combined with your play and your paint. If we bring a very good painted army, it's going to give us more points than bringing the 15th best player that we can. So while both have different merits, we want to show that we can bring people who just paint as well as just play. With that, once we've qualified for the golden ticket, which they run all year, I myself qualified, I think, 6 times with various singles and teams events. There's a lot of practice to go into this. So at WCW, we are playing any suggested mission and map combination. So this year I went to the Dallas GW Open, I did the Edmonton GW Open, and I've done last year's World Championships of Warhammer. With this, I understand that some of the maps and mission combinations that we normally don't use do actually show up. So it's good to practice all of these different map and mission combinations. Overall, the experience was fantastic. So we had some great guys. Some of them you may know locally, but for the sake of the viewers who are not locally, the main ones would be...
Hello!
Scurry!
It's time. It's time for the WCW.
How do you think about Purge the Foe round 1?
I love it. It's one of my favorite missions. Simple, straightforward.
I used to hate it until he pointed out that's actually really good for elves because you can really manage that stuff. I'm very happy for my solitaire, I'll say that.
That's right.
And then Jeremy and Innes from Stat Check. All right, guys, here we are. Jeremy, we got our coins. Yeah. This is kind of the cool thing that everyone likes to do. So there's a big line. You go, you get your coin.
Canadians are still getting theirs.
Yeah, we
are the second largest contingent.
Yeah, we are the second largest, over 100. I think 104.
That's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah, 104 of us in there. So we took over the entrance and blocked it off pretty good. Everyone else is kind of local. Sure, you might know some of their names, but we had like 10 guys in the Airbnb. It's tight. You know, we got 7 beds and 3 couches for 10 people to sleep on. They're beds. This is basically our base of operations for the weekend. But it's got a couple nice big couches, places where we can play Magic. We got all the amenities where we can, do our laundry, we can cook. And the best thing is last year, I did this event, I stayed on site. And I think afterwards it was something like about $3,000 Canadian. So with a split, this is $370 Canadian per person for the entire stay, which basically makes this trip is under $1,000 with our flights, and it's quite affordable. As it turns out, Jason Kreppen, who got our best overall painted, and Jeremy Atkinson from StatCheck, all three of us drove down together, flew together, stayed in the Airbnb together, and were seated in the same pod together. So we could not escape each other even if we tried. But it was a great fun time, and I highly encourage everybody who gets a chance to push towards this golden ticket, even for the experience that's not the gaming side of stuff. So aside from the gaming, dinners, hanging out with everyone, again, playing Magic the Gathering late at night. There was a bunch of people that went to the aquarium in Atlanta, and the overall experience there was fantastic. You get to meet lots of cool people. I've got a lot of photos with different people from Art of War, just flagging down anyone I knew, like, hey, can I get a photo with you? And that experience itself, without the games, was awesome. If you're going there, it's more like you're going to the World Championships. You happen to be playing 8 games of Warhammer at the same time. So with my army, I took a little bit of everything. I had Azerman with a 5-man Dire Avengers, Baharoth with 3 units of Swooping Hawks. We had Lycus and 3 units of Warp Spiders. We had Janezar and a unit of 5 Banshees, Fuegan and a 10-man unit of Fire Dragons with a Wave Serpent, 2 units of Rangers, 2 units of Void Scarred, and then I put in the Solitaire. The Solitaire was from that practice weekend that we were talking about where you get your last chance qualifier. I've already qualified, but there's a couple of them where I played Chaos Knights, Triple Gatling on Purge, Hammer and Anvil. There is nowhere I can stand to hold my expansion without just dying. There was a couple maps like that, and so I realized having a lone op might be exactly what I need. How did list do? I think it did well for what I wanted to do. In list design, I looked for anti-tank, anti-infantry, and scoring. So the way I've had it described to me, and I've agreed, is that assume you have 15 points, and all 3 of these are a 0 to 10 scale, and you put points in to determine where you want to go. In my opinion, I went a little bit too heavy on the scoring, and I should have just allowed my units to score. I should have gone a little bit more into the anti-infantry side of things. I found for my event, there was more infantry there than I was expecting, perhaps more than I'm used to. Now, I did manage to play, and even my 3 wins and my 3 losses from round 2 through 7, all of those were pretty close to like 1, maybe 2 dice rolls away from me winning or me losing on all of them. So I think I played very well, held my own for most of it, but I think, say, a 2nd unit of Banshees, that definitely would have leveraged me playing a little bit more into anti-infantry, could have saved me a little bit more and made some of those more leverageable. So in my opinion, I did take, perchance, maybe a little bit too much on the scoring side of stuff. I'm very happy with the list. I'm very happy with how it performed, but there's new stuff in the meta that I was not ready for. That being said, if I decide to go all anti-infantry, maybe I played into all knights or vice versa. But I think this is kind of the gamble you take. When you go to a big stage like this, you got to guess, what do you think the meta is going to be like? In my opinion, I guessed a little bit off the mark, and that little bit off the mark was what cost me some of my games. One of the things I want to touch on with this is that there was a judge call that I do not agree with as much in my first game. So my first game, I played against Black Templars Gladius. Now, I played a little bit of Black Templars, but since they're Codex, I have not played a lot into them. So one of the big things when we start at the table is on Purge. I already feel that's pretty bad. I've got a lot of characters. You kill my units in a character, it's pretty easy to get killed more. Now, in this game, my opponent took a 6-inch pile in and consolidate vow with Black Templars, which afterwards we found out does not exist. This, well, we both have different opinions on how this game would have landed. I feel I could have won the game because I would have played differently. He feels he would have won the game. We have both asked the TO to swap the scores once we found this out. The TO refused to change this. His plan was, or sorry, I should say, his idea on this is that I could, in theory, know that my opponent was making a mistake, go to round 2, play an easier opponent on a harder mission, then have the score flipped, go 2-0, be back over and avoid that hard match. I disagree with this. One of the things the head TO, or sorry, I should say the head judge, not the TO would be Zach Rockner, lovely gentleman. The problem I have with this is that this goes through a lot of hoops, and saying that you've never done this in 15 years, I think is a big fault. because for me, I've actually made mistakes in tournaments and had to have my score reversed. I've asked for that. This case, both players are asking for that. I think it's a lot easier to make the assumption that what's going to actually happen is that you are going to play, and you know that once the score is in, if you've made a mistake, you will have no punishment. So while we both asked for the score to be reversed, nothing happened. So I'm going to put an asterisk beside round 1 because we both asked for that score to be reversed, but it definitely I'm going to let everyone else discuss that. I've already discussed it ad nauseum. I think it was a great, fantastic game. I really enjoyed it, but it did leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Finding out that he'd mentioned that this was from the index detachment that he was using this from, and it was enough of a rules mistake that we both agreed the score should be flipped. So at this point, I'm going to say I don't think that was the right judge call, and I filled out the survey form after the game, or after the event, I should say, to give that feedback, because I think this is definitely something Games Workshop should worry about. And work on. There's other rules issues that I'd seen with other players. One of them is going to be playing tonight, where a Wave Serpent was ruled that it could not move through a gap on layout 1 between 2 buildings. And his opponent just said, I'm going to do it anyways. And then the judge looked over and said, I'm not going to fight him on it. So there is a little bit of give and take that I have to make sure I'm pointing out. And I've given some thought about this, but I think this needs to be addressed. Games Workshop judges, fantastic people, but they definitely need to look at their events for a little bit wider lens and say, hey, there might be problems with this, and there might be people that know that if I get my score in, once the score is in, there is no changing anything, I am locked in. It actually kind of incentivizes you to maybe mistake rules. I'm not going to say the word cheating. I'm going to just say make mistakes to your benefit. If it happens to your benefit all the time, if it happens to your benefit and your detriment, is different situations. That's for the TOs. I've moved past that. So we're going to move on to game 2. So this was a win for myself. I got to play into a new friend of mine from Thailand. Fantastic. Played, you get it, Black Templar Gladius again. This is where we played our game, and at the end of the game, I said, why didn't you take that 6-inch pile and consolidate vow? And he's the one that told me, well, I can't because it doesn't exist, which is what caused all these problems. But a fantastic guy. In fact, he liked Eldar so much, he came up to me on day 3 to show me the receipt where he's bought into an Eldar army. So this is a new friend across the world, but we're going to be messaging each other back and forth as I help him with some Eldar stuff, because he just wants something that's a little bit different. Game 3, I played into Custodes. Now, his name is David Lecomte. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, from the United States. He's playing a lot of Guardian spam. Fantastic player, great game, thoroughly enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that it was not Wardens scamming me on 4-ups. So that was another win for myself. Then we go to round 4. This is the finishing of the pod phase, and I play into, again, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Jokel Johnson from Team Iceland. So we played an Eldar mirror match. I went first. It was such a fun game. Eldar play a lot of different rules. We'll say they almost play a different game of Warhammer, and the fact that we were able to play against each other and we knew each other's rules just made it highly tactical. I did note that I made 2 mistakes in that game. 1, I overwatched where I shouldn't have, and 2, my solitaire was so small, he was in a building and I forgot he existed. Then he died. But it was a very close game, and while the score ended up 95-46, is because it was Scorched Earth, and it was literally down to a die roll or 2 to flip the game to see who survives to even play turn 4 and 5, where you're burning your home and snowballing points. But it was a fantastic game, great opponent. Coming out of the pod phase, I'm now 2-2. So starting the pod phase, I play Maxime Zimmer from France. Another Eldar mirror match. This is on Search and Destroy. Another fantastic opponent. Absolutely loved him. I decided, because he had a lot of indirect, to place on the line and roll to go first, which paid off because I did go first, and I picked up enough of his army that there was nowhere for him to place, at which point I explained to him that I played a lot of Gene Stealers, and I wasn't going to give him any place. By the end of turn 2, he's like, I can't score. I'm mathematically out of this game as of my second turn. He decided to play it out and see how many points he could get just for practice for teams. We had a great conversation. Another guy completely covered in tats, so we had a great conversation about that. Fantastic. Round 6, So I play Hunter Nichols from from USA, not Team USA, on Space Wolves. Supply drop. He put everything on one side. I put a lot of my stuff on the other side. He's got very long threat ranges. This was on sweeping engagement. We rolled. His objective is the one that went last. It was very close, but a Bjorn not dying, running in my backfield with 2 wounds, and it happened a couple times in the game, so it was very close. And then end term scoring, he got enough. But fantastic game. We were laughing and joking about this game the entire time. I found out afterwards there was a TO social. He went there, he's talking to Scary, and Scary had to come back that he was just bragging about the game that we had, how much fun it was. So added him on Facebook. I see he's been doing a little bit of cooking and commenting on that stuff. So I'm glad to make another good friend there. Fantastic game. Now round 7, I play into Thousand Suns, the Rubricide detachment with 30 Terminators. This is a pretty toxic thing for me. Again, I wish I had more anti-infantry. Into Malachi Fowler. So we play the game. He explains to me that he has a Rubricide detachment, which basically gives him Armor of Contempt on his entire army. This means that the first point of AP is ignored on everything. The second thing that I was of note is that if I kill a sorcerer, so each squad is led by a sorcerer, when that sorcerer dies, which he'll make sure it dies first, he now gets to shoot back at me. So it was really hard for me to fight into that one. It was a very close game, but eventually I just ran out of resources. I had a chance where I shot Fuegan, I get a chance to kill some stuff. He makes more 4-ups than I was expecting and just kind of tilted from that point. But ignoring the first point of armor penetration on my entire army was huge. It really shut down my potential on everything. And then we'll go into the last game, which admittedly I did not play. This was another round of supply drop versus Terminator's Death Guard. And so I looked at him and we basically just said, well, look, let's see who's going second and then go watch the finals. So we rolled off to see who goes second. I was going first, so we conceded there. So I actually, in my opinion, had one game, the first game, which had a little bit of an asterisk on how it would have gone because of a fairly large rules mistake. I'm not going to go back into that. And then I had 3 games where I went 3-3, and the last game where we basically took a coin flip because, look, at this point, we've got everything we need out of this. So I think it was a fantastic event overall. Had a great time, great friends. Can't wait to go back next year, and hopefully it gets the mark a little bit better on how the meta is going to be. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. In the comment section, I'm trying to get back to everybody. Please give us all feedback, even negative. It means that we know what we can work on to make things better. If you enjoyed any of the products you see on there, including the battle mats, dice, objective markers, we make those and we sell them in-house. www.red-dragon.ca. Thank you for watching.